Hello everyone, and welcome back to Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright. Previously, Layton and Luke visited the storyteller, where, well, things weren't so good. He wasn't happy. He didn't like that Layton, Luke, and Phoenix and Maya have been meddling in his story. And what's more, they let slip that they were friends of Carmine, so things weren't looking good for them. But then we cut away to Phoenix and Maya learning from Espella that Espella is the storyteller's daughter. And most of her life she'd been living in the tower with him, but then she struck out on her own, was taken in by that nice baker, and things would proceed from there. But the townsfolk don't like Espella because something really bad happened to a person who accidentally, brushed into Espella and knocked her over. So Espella's been dealing with a lot of hardship in that regard. But now it's looking like the only lead left is to investigate the ongoing mystery that has been unsolved. There's a witch out there who committed a murder and has not been found. So, let's get going. This town's one and only unsolved incident of magic. I'm sure she said something about an alchemist who lost their life to a witch. An alchemist was attacked. That sounds like a serious case. You got that from High Inquisitor Darklaw, right? That's right, when I was searching for Eve last night. I meant to tell you about it, but it totally slipped my mind. The only unsolved incident, huh? That's suspicious, all right. This might just be the lead that will take us to the Great Witch. Okay, let's get to investigating. We can do this thing. Yeah, so, I guess first we should check out the Inquisitor's Hall, right? We might just learn something there. Sure, let's get going. On the other hand, we may just learn how unwelcome we are there. Hey, come on, Nick. Enough with that wishy-washy attitude. I didn't even say anything. Well, you never know when there could be new puzzles. Maybe there's something here. These old benches can wait. Let's go to the Inquisitor's Hall. How about the guards? Hey, Nick, aren't we going to the Inquisitor's Hall? Fine. Oh, wait a minute. That aggressive bark. Please tell me that isn't... Aha, it's Constantine. He looks happy to see us. Wish I could say the feeling was mutual. Once bitten, twice shy. That pretty much sums me up right now. Really? I don't know. I think he's looking much friendlier today, if you ask me. See? Come on, Nick. Pet him just once. This mutt really hates me. Well, if it isn't Sir Blue Knight. Exactly what are you doing over there on all fours? Oh, Inquisitor Barnum. Glad to see you again. Actually, there's something we'd like to ask you about. Come on, Nick, stand up already. I'd like to meet that mutt's owner, face to face. How foolish. Okay, well that animation looks a lot more threatening now that he's closer. Constantine happens to be mine, and a true knight's companion he is. He needn't waste time sinking his teeth into the likes of you. I had a hunch. So Constantine really is your dog, huh? Gotta admire the nerve of this guy. He just sits back and lets his dog bite people. Me. Now, if you excuse me, I just gotta sniff this guy's wrist a bit. Sniff, sniff. never mind that. What is it that you want to talk about? Just make it quick, Sir Blue Knight. So, you Inquisitors are the ones who investigate incidents of magic in this town, aren't you? Yes, of course. If you don't mind, we'd like to ask you about that unsolved incident with magic. There's one thing you must never forget. The Knights of the Inquisition excel at their work. Right? All incidents of magic perpetrated by the witches are dealt with by the Inquisitors, without exception. Spoken with that usual calm and collected air of confidence. That's interesting. You see, we heard different. Apparently there's one particular incident that still remains unsolved. Something about an alchemist being murdered? Ring any bells? Wait. Isn't there a bell tower right next to the alchemist's house? Hold on. Is that a sneaky reference? A clue? What? Who did you get that information from? High Inquisitor Darklaw. Well, why the blazes didn't you say so? You could have saved us some time. Huh? How is it my fault? Also, you would think there'd be a huge stigma against saying something like, what in blazes, considering that, the town was destroyed by fire 100 years ago? The High Inquisitor has put me on the spot by leaking such information to the likes of you. Well, I suppose that leaves nothing for it. I shall tell you the whole story, since I do not believe in doing things by halves. Please, go ahead. We're all ears. It was 3 months ago that an alchemist living near the town square was murdered. Sorry, Inquisitor Barnum, but I'm kinda lost already. What? Is there a difference between alchemy and magic? When it comes to something that difficult, it'll do no good asking me. Huh? It seems that while the townspeople respected him, they also treated him with caution. They respected him. He used his skills to make medical concoctions and acted much like a physician. Neat design. The efficacy of his cures was almost like magic. He was famous within his neighborhood. In fact, he was sometimes referred to as Dr. Belduke by the townspeople. Belduke? Dr. Belduke? Well, maybe he was sometimes referred to that because that's his name? Also, geez, I can only think of Dr. Hiroluke from One Piece. It's the same sounding name. At any rate, it's safe to say that Sir Belduke was no witch. How can you say for sure? That's simple. Sir Belduke was a man. Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, hypothetically, what would happen if a man held a witch's staff with the right gemstone in it and then tried to cast a spell? What happens? I'm gonna assume no one's tried that. Well, can't really argue with that. Sir Belduke came to a mysterious end 3 months ago. A mysterious end? There were two things about his death that cannot be explained rationally. Firstly, the murder scene. His body was discovered in his residence, in the study. His room was locked, There was no conceivable way the crime could have been committed, except by witchcraft.
Isn't that what people call a locked room mystery?
A what? It's nothing, really. So, what was the other mysterious thing? Secondly, until then, all incidents involving witches had been foretold in the story. Foretold in the story? In other words, predicted by the storyteller. However, the murder of Sir Belduke did not appear in the story. Such a thing had never occurred before. So not only was this the only unsolved incident in Labyrinthia's history, but it was also the only incident not to be predicted by the storyteller. Well, we know that the only things the storyteller doesn't know about are forces coming in from the outside world. I think that might be our biggest clue. This definitely sounds worth investigating. You certainly are an interesting one, Sir Blue Knight. Huh? You really think you can solve this incident alone, when the Knights of the Inquisition have been working on it for 3 months? I must say, that is some confidence. We won't know unless we try. You may risk becoming the target of some terrifying witch's vengeance. I'm hoping that was a joke. Well, I suppose you may as well take a look. Who knows, you may even find something. Sir Belduke's residence is just beyond the town square. Ask anyone around there, they'll soon point you in the right direction. Thank you, Inquisitor Barnum. Sir Blue Knight, I believe our courtroom battles are far from over. Until we meet again in court. I'll see you then, Inquisitor. Sounds good to me. Look at that adorable little doggy. Well, you know me, I feel like there's gonna be new puzzles. They could be anywhere. I don't have time to waste. Actually, you know what? I feel bad about skipping it. I might run into funny dialogue, so... That's Barnum's armor. It makes quite an impression. Maya, can you please get this mud away from me? I can't feel my leg.
Aw, so soon? I was hoping he'd use a blue chew toy just one more time.
Sir Belduke's residence has already been scoured by the Knights of the Inquisition. I believe you'll only be wasting your time if you go there now. Oh, I'm fine with that.
What a pretty lady, with her ruthless face and a scary sword ready to cut someone's head off.
Wait, I think we saw that dialogue, actually. Yeah, I think they're just reusing dialogue a bit. Yeah, okay, that doesn't look like the alchemist's house. I thought it might have when I first saw it, but no. Maybe I speak to the guards here? I'll tell you what, I'm gonna check everything on my way to the alchemist's house. You don't need to see it. It's a lot at this point, so... see you when I see you. Either I find a puzzle or we arrive at the residence. Oh, hello. That is entirely new character. Selling radishes, it looks like, or... Lots of veggies. Hello. Oh, no puzzle. Old Rudy.
Hee hee hee. Would you two folks be interested in a rumor? Huh? A rumor? What kind of rumor? Hee hee. That young lady is a silly question. It's not for me to choose the rumor. The two folks have to guess what it is.
We have to guess it. You mean if we roll off a few yes or no questions, you'll answer them for us? Do you think you could tell us about the alchemist?
All right, but no need to rush. First, let's see what vegetable you folks get.
See what vegetable we get? What do you mean?
Take a look at this. 1, 2. 1, 2. What's today's vegetable, I wonder?
Pumpkin.
That would be a wee little pumpkin. This little fella is small, even for a pint-sized pumpkin.
Oh, right.
Now, as for that alchemist, he was an outstandingly handsome man. And that smile of his, why, it worked wonders on all the womenfolk, all right. Better than any medicine, or so they say. Worked a treat for me, too. That smile would always ease my nerve pains.
Oh, that's it?
Well, it was a very small pumpkin. That's all for today, I'm afraid.
So you're saying that the alchemist's remedies weren't so effective? I don't think that's quite what she meant. Uh-oh. Don't tell me this is all gonna replay. Oh, it is. Oh, hello. We haven't seen this guy in a while. Hey, it's you two. Oh, did you want to speak to us?
I need to have a word with you both. Thanks to your turning courtroom procedure upside down, we're in a fine mess now. Finding a defendant innocent is unprecedented in the history of the witch's court.
What do you mean? I'm pretty sure trying innocent people is more of a problem than your precious procedure.
What are you trying to say? How many glasses does he have? That girl is being held on suspicion of being the great witch Bezella. Defending her only invites suspicion upon her your own complicity.
That's a false accusation.
That's right.
There's not a shred of evidence against Isabella.
Harumph. No matter what you say, she is the most likely suspect. Anyway, if I stand around talking to you for too long, I'll invite suspicion upon myself. So from now on, I would appreciate it if you would keep your distance.
But you're the one who approached us.
Harumph.
What a piece of work. Oh!
Oh, it makes me so mad.
What's the problem?
It's my neighbor. He's got this really annoying habit.
Annoying habit?
He just loves stomping around his place all the time. Thanks to him, all the books in my house are now a complete mess. Not to mention, I can't get any sleep.
That does sound like a serious problem.
Can you even imagine how loud it is?
Well, not exactly.
That's what I thought. I knew you couldn't, so let me just reproduce it for you. You'll truly be amazed.
Let's see here. Oh. Stomp on it. Interesting. The house's floorboards are all in complete disarray, much to the displeasure of the owner. He has decided to stomp out the problem himself, literally. Each time he stomps on a tile, the stomp tile and the surrounding tiles will flip over. Tiles sectioned off by dividers will not be flipped by a nearby stomp. Oh. I need to make the image, which looks like a chicken on a plate? So the tile directly below and in 4 cardinal directions will flip over. Huh. Well, interesting stuff, but okay. This is interesting. This one partitioned off by all 4 sides. Well, I never need to hop in here again, except for a traversal, but... Huh. What an interesting puzzle. Wait. Crap. Okay, I have something good here. If I leave this bottom part alone... Tricky. Crap. I'm not sure how to... Oh, wait. Okay, the bottom half is completely solved. And because it's mostly partitioned off, then I believe I can solve this a bit. Just 2 more to go. This is going to be this most tricky. I think I might actually have to make use of that partitioned off tile. Let's see here. I could solve this if I could jump diagonally. Alas, I cannot. Oh, hello. Hello? I did it.
The answer here is obvious.
I think
This
that's...
ace attorney just aced this puzzle.
Yeah, if that puzzle comes back, it's really going to be quite difficult. I think they could get real crazy with it. The floorboards are looking great, but who knows how long that will last.
So what did you think of that? Wasn't that stomping just ridiculous? I've had enough already.
Then why don't you just pack your things and move out? Just move.
Move? Out? Hey, that's a great idea. I'll come and stay in the library instead. I could be of more help to Miss Mystery. I'd be surrounded by all these books. This is the greatest idea ever.
No, Dewey, I'm sorry, but I must insist that you leave and go home. Well, Maya, let's just pretend like nothing never happened and get going ourselves. Huh, sometimes life doesn't go quite the way you want it to, huh? Weird. I know you. You're both acquaintances of the professor, aren't you? I was at the trial last night. I saw the whole thing. Oh, you were there too. I guess the witch trial really does get the townsfolk interested. Indeed, especially last night, on account of the defendant being Espella Cantabella. But I must admit you amazed me. I did? Very much. It was the first time I had ever seen a defender fight that way for his client. For example, the way you used the word contradiction in the courtroom, it worked almost like magic. But that's only natural for a defense attorney. Until now, the defender was always defeated the moment they stood before Inquisitor Barnum. Not only that, but in this town, there's no one who wants to befriend a witch. That's just not how the trial should be. That's not justice.
I believe Professor Layton made the right decision giving you the Grand Grimoire. And from now on, I hope you will continue to fight for justice in this court.
In court.
All right.
All right, you've got it. I'm frazzled.
Now then, this conversation has become rather heavy, don't you think? If it's okay with you, I have something to lighten the mood.
Oh, then that means...
I have a repository of all the puzzles in Labyrinthia. If you come to me, you can tackle any puzzles you may have missed, as well as puzzles that you previously couldn't solve. Why not occasionally try a puzzle or two to keep your thinking flexible?
Good, I haven't missed any. Though I think it only updates when you complete an act. Okay, anything else with Dewey? No. Aztec tribes associated owls with witchcraft and evil, but I don't think that's the case here. What's up here? The professor would be itching to dig up any hidden puzzles buried in those books. Alright, I think you can leave. Just 2 places left to check then. Let's head to the left. Oh, maybe just 1 then. We'll try here. Not a soul in sight. Which brings us to the town square. Well, we've reached the square, but I wonder where the alchemist's residence is.
Hey, Nick, look over there. There's a street leading away from the square.
Hey, you're right. Let's go take a look. Oh, it's Petter. Hey, I thought you two were working at the bakery. Are you goofing off? Well, not exactly.
Actually, we thought we'd give up baking and try our hands at something else.
Is that so? Sounds like a good idea. Your bread did taste a little unusual anyway.
What? You mean our bread wasn't delicious?
That's strange. I mean, we used so much butter. I needed that dough so hard. Just my opinion, mind. I prefer my bread a little more fluffy and light.
Oh, really? So, just how fluffy and light are we talking here?
Well, maybe about as fluffy and light as in this puzzle. Bring it on. Ah, the clouds again. Cloud Maze 2. Okay, then. The rules seem exactly the same. I do like that we're controlling the chibi Maya, though. That's cute. Well, this seems straightforward so far. I have to remember that... Oh. Interesting. There's a hole blocking this path here. The only way through, but there's a hole on the other side. I need to do something with the clouds, I think. Well, it's linear so far. Oh, what am I looking at? Oh, jeez. You know what, let's not... Oh, okay, well... Guess I have to. No, it's the 3rd floor, the final floor. Can I see Phoenix from here? Guess I'll just randomly guess. Wow, that brought me to the bottom right corner. Interesting. Oh, hey. Hey, I like where this is going. Hey now. Did I just stumble into the correct solution? Yo. Phoenix! I need to get into this little section here. Ah, crap. Let's try... Wait a second. All of these knights pointing their spears are gray, except this one's purple. Purple for Maya. Let's try it. Uh-oh. It's taking me way up. It's already solved. I found the right path. Oh my god, I got lucky. Well, that's some intuition for you, huh? Wow. That's incredible.
Maya the Magnificent strikes again. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself.
You know what this means, right? Later on, I'll have a very hard time with a cloud maze puzzle. There's gonna be at least one more in this game. Wow, impressive work. I really didn't expect you to solve that. Actually, I thought the same thing too. Well, I knew I could do it. So, what were you out-of-work bakers doing hanging around here anyway? We're investigating an incident involving the alchemist. Do you know anything about it? Surely the Knights of the Inquisition are the ones you should ask. They could tell you a lot more than I can. You might be right about that. Even so, it's a right shame someone like him could get murdered. I often went to him myself to get medicine. He was always friendly and understanding. Seems like Sir Belduc was a good man, at least from what we've heard so far. I just hope they manage to solve this case soon. Fair enough, Petter. Anything else here? I don't remember hearing that bell ring somehow. Oh. Yeah, there is something funky going on over there. I was like, what the hell is I... Huh? What? Something is triggering the magnify... What? You see that, right? There's something... Maybe it's just me, but this belfry seems so ominous. Freakishly weird and difficult to get to that dialogue, but okay. Mystery solved. So this is Sir Belduc's residence. It definitely looks like an alchemist's house. I've never seen plants like these before. So, what do we do now? Just because the owner is deceased, we can't exactly go barging in. Huh, but have you noticed just how well kept his yard is? It looks like someone is still living here. Someone has definitely been doing the upkeep around here, that's for sure. Hey, who's that over there? Oh! Why does that character look so familiar? Okay, you know what? No. Oh, it's, oh. Yeah, the bowl cut combined with the teal hair. Isn't there like a Yu-Gi-Oh character who looks like that with the bug card deck? God, I only have the foggiest memories of watching Yu-Gi-Oh on the 4Kids dub. When I was a little kid. Well, we'll talk to him last. There was that sun. Nothing to talk about with it, though. That's 2 hint coins down. That's a strange place to put a vase. It seems to serve the same purpose as a mailbox. There are letters sticking out of it. I'd normally call that weird, but since it's an alchemist's house, it's sort of fitting. Some plant is growing in that vase, too. I wonder if it's intentional. What fruit is that? They look so juicy. I'm going to try one. This is an alchemist's garden, Maya. I'd advise against eating anything that grows here. Come on, there's got to be one more hint coin. The bell tower is visible over the treetops. So the town square is in that direction. The bell tower is really tall. How come we've never heard the bell? Okay, if I were the final hint coin, where would I be? Hold up. Well, there you go. Fair enough. My sincere apologies. I'm afraid medicaments are no longer being provided here. Huh? Did you not come here for medicaments of some sort? Of some kind? I have never heard of medicaments before. Is he just getting the word wrong? No, we didn't come here for that. We're here to investigate the incident, the one involving Sir Belduke. Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but you do not look like members of the Knights of the Inquisition. I'm Phoenix Wright, attorney at law. And you? I'm guessing you live here. Indeed. My name is Jean Grail. Grey Earl. Okay. Earl Grey, that's tea. But what about Jean? Is there a tea or drink named after Jean, or? Huh. I was butler to the late Master Belduke. Guys. We have a butler in this murder mystery. You know what that means. Wow, a butler! This must be my first time meeting a real one. Well, Mr. Grey Earl, if you don't mind. I've been told that the incident involving your master was shrouded in mystery. Has it got something to do with the Great Witch Bizella? We're trying to investigate that at the moment. The Great Witch? Bizella? Am I right in supposing that you are defending Espella Cantabella? Well, actually, yes we are. So you know Espella, do you? That goes without saying. Everyone around here knows her. Do you think you can help us? We're here looking for leads. While he was alive, the Master taught me the value of investigating the truth that governs the natural world. If you, too, are investigating the truth, then it would be against his teachings for me not to cooperate with you. Would you both like to come in? We can discuss the matter further, inside. That would be great. Thank you, Mr. Grey Earl. Whoa, spoken like a true butler. He's a pretty cool guy, isn't he, Nick? What is this room?
This is the room that Master Belduke kindly provided as my accommodation.
So, is this room where the incident took place?
That would be the Master's study. It is the room right next door. However, the state of the room has been carefully preserved since the incident 3 months ago. As such, entry into the room is not currently permitted.
Really? Bummer.
Is that by order of the Knights of the Inquisition by any chance? Yes, and as I have lived with Master since an early age, they also decided it would be only fitting for me to stay on and keep the place in order. So you've been looking after the place ever since Sir Belduke passed away? Yes, that's correct. Now then, is there anything further you wish to discuss?
Well, we can look around first.
The town is over there. It's the opposite direction from the bell tower. A pretty view like this makes you forget all about witches and murders. Books and documents are all neatly placed on the shelves. Grey Earl is a very tidy person. Maybe Jean could teach me some alchemy Maybe Jean could teach me some alchemy and you how to keep your desk tidy, Nick.
Is that a burn or mold?
The floor's been singed. The legendary fire didn't spare even the alchemist's house.
Why would the legendary fire manifest itself just in this room? Grey Earl probably dropped a candle. Mark my words, there's some hidden passage in this room leading into the master's study.
Is that a mini bar? What's inside all those bottles?
Is it grape juice?
Maya, don't drink it. Who knows what strange mixtures our alchemist kept in those bottles?
Probably grape juice. Oh, all done here.
As I mentioned a moment ago, I know very little about this matter. As a matter of fact, it might be better to ask the Inquisitors. I can tell you about one thing, though. Namely, what occurred before the incident.
Before the incident?
Yes, it was 3 months ago, around the time that Master Belduke was murdered.
We were on our way back from collecting specimens for research, and it was already into the small hours of the morning.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I was like, hold on, maybe we're going up into a trial and Grey Earl would be held accountable, but no, he's a man, he can't be the witch. That is one feminine voice. Now, I know it's very common practice among voice acting to hire a woman to voice a young boy. But when they do that, they kind of like disguise their voice and make themselves sound more masculine. But no, that's just a woman speaking. I think Grey Earl is hiding their gender. Or at least like dressing manly. Yeah. When I saw the bird on the floor and thought, hey, there's probably a hidden pathway leading into the study, and that's how the door remained locked, I was like, maybe Grey Earl did it. But, no, honestly, if Grey Earl is the suspect, wouldn't Phoenix defend them?
There was a thunderstorm on the way, and as the storm drew nearer, we quickly made our way home.
Huh? The bell tower appeared out of nowhere.
Anyone would have been surprised at what we saw. But Master Belduke, well, how can I put this? He reacted in a most peculiar way. Unlike others who saw it, he seemed unsettled, as if he was truly afraid of something. After that bell tower appeared, he changed completely. Master Belduke became a different man.
Wait a second. Did you just say a bell tower appeared?
Hey, that explains it. That must be what High Inquisitor Darklaw meant when she mentioned an incident involving the bell tower.
Maybe the townsfolk are forbidden from entering it. Yeah, after all, there are guards posted right outside it, aren't there? What the hell?
To this day, I do not know what the Master was so afraid of.
Do you think it was connected in some way to his death?
I think it must have been magic. I mean, for a bell tower to just appear like that.
Mr. Grey Earl, do you mind if we have a look around? I know that the Inquisitors have already carried out a full investigation, but there just might be a clue or two with some kind of connection to the Great Witch.
Well, I suppose. Providing I am allowed to accompany you. Of course. There is sensitive equipment everywhere, and it is my responsibility to take care of it.
I understand. We'll be careful.
I wonder how the Professor and Luke are doing with their visit to the Storyteller.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that too. A chance to meet Labyrinthia's creator. Let's just hope they don't upset the guy and have some terrible plot twist written about them. Yeah, let's hope, right?
That'd only happen if it was you that visited the Storyteller, Nick. The Professor would never let anything like that happen. I've got a feeling they'll come back with some pretty useful leads. We have to do our best too, Nick. Let's keep up our side of this investigation.
You got it, Maya. We're all in this together. Come on, let's see what we can find.
That's the spirit.
Oh, that's funny coming from you. You think she would say something like that way more? Oh. Are we actually going to swap back to Layton and Luke? Well, damn, we're running out of slots for this mysteries, huh? The bell tower appeared mysteriously after lightning struck one evening. Yeah, maybe the Inquisition is considering it related to Belduke's death.
The Great Witch Bezilla will be tried in the court?
That will be Labyrinthia's final chapter. A fitting end for a town ruled by witches and their magic.
Am I to believe that this final chapter has already begun?
That is correct. And there is no way you can possibly change its final outcome.
I wonder about that.
You see, I gave my word to a young lady. I promised that without fail, I would be able to rescue her. If I'm not mistaken, the Great Witch Trial will begin in 2 weeks' time, the same day on which you will hold your next parade. I believe that should give us sufficient time to show you what we can do. Such a smug countenance. I find it intolerable. I beg your pardon. 2 weeks from now, you say? I'm afraid that information is out of date, Herschel Layton. Out of date? What do you mean? My parade will be held the day after tomorrow, according to the amended story. Well, shit. So we can just change the rules, huh? Well, if it's really been pushed up, then... yeah, we're gonna have the climactic Great Witch Trial. There's no way the game is ending soon, right? I feel like we're less than halfway done, man. Oh, wait, shoot, I was gonna say something else. Whatever.
What? The day after tomorrow? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's actually a word for the day after tomorrow. You don't need to say that clunky phrase anymore. It's overmorrow. One word, overmorrow. That's the day after tomorrow. Now you know.
That's not fair.
Now that's the kind of countenance I want from the characters in my story.
What?
That's what I do, didn't you know? I decide the fate of characters who have no knowledge of their future. It would appear that you are not yet fully aware of the gravity of the situation. Let me see now. Just for fun, I'll write you a little story. A story full of surprises and a few tears. I shall enjoy seeing the emotions of the characters as they play their parts.
A story for us?
Stories are a fixture of this town. You would be wise to embrace them. Let's see. I think we need a stimulating incident. We shall have a witch, some witchcraft, and perhaps a little death.
Death? You can't.
Oh, but I can. Let me see. This is a golden opportunity to use the alchemist's residence. How about this? Your comrade meets with death by golden curse in the alchemist's residence. This could be a truly interesting story.
No way.
Feel free to act as you wish when playing your role in this story.
How can you?
The new chapter. The beginning of a new tragedy or farce. The victim of a golden curse lies in the dwelling of a user of false alchemy. A man from afar falls to a golden curse, and a woman from afar cries out in grief. The woman is captured, her dark trial begins, the fiery pit will cleanse all her sins.
Huh?
Maya?
Wait, but if Phoenix gets, turned to gold or something, who will defend? A man from afar falls to a golden curse, and a woman from afar cries out in grief? This must be referring to Maya and Mr. Wright.
If we don't do something, Mr. Wright and Miss Fay will be in danger. There's no time to lose, Luke. Let's go and find them.
Right you are, Professor.
The story has already been written. And no matter what you do, you will not change the result.
I do not agree. What we do next can change the future in any number of ways.
I'm sure that's what you want to believe. In fact, a naive outburst like that could be a poignant plot point. Please be my guest. Your words may help to raise the tension and bring a little excitement to my story.
You monster!
Luke, now is not the time. We need to help Mr. Wright and Maya.
Okay, let's go, Professor. Better hurry.
Uh-oh.
Huh? Professor, do you hear a flapping sound coming this way?
The sound of a large bird, perhaps.
Oh, an owl! The seal is already broken. Huh. The seal's already broken. Someone read that letter? What the hell does that mean? Well... Anyway, now is as good a time as any to stop. Well, I think the future has indeed been foretold. The future of what I'll be doing. I feel like this, well, for lack of a better term, this investigation phase, with Layton and all the puzzles and all that, it's drawing to a close. We're about to start up a trial. And then tomorrow, the next day, I'm sure we'll investigate more. And then the next day will be the Great Witch Trial. So I think we're going in a pattern here. One day of investigation, one day of trial, and repeat. But as for what's about to happen, it sounds like Phoenix is maybe going to turn to gold. Yeah, I know a huge thing about alchemists is that they, like a stereotype I mean, is that they try to transmute lead into gold. Phoenix is not made of lead. Well, technically speaking, I do believe humans actually do have lead within their system. It is one of the chemicals that compose us. But no, if something bad happens to Phoenix, he will not be able to defend anyone in court. And indeed, it sounds like Maya will be tried as a witch. That's pretty damn bad. That's really bad. But you know, I could absolutely see Layton coming up to the plate and defending Maya. I wouldn't mind that, honestly. Like, I could feel like some would feel that Layton would steal the show from Phoenix and that Phoenix should always be the defender and in charge in court, but nah, I really like Layton and Luke. They're good characters and I want to see more of them, so it wouldn't bother me if that were the case. Well, all I know is that we're in for exciting times. I quite imagine next time, yeah, we'll wrap up this investigation phase and maybe hit the courts next time, so definitely looking forward to that. Huh. Belduke and the Bell Tower, huh? You know, it's pretty hard to imagine that there'd be a spell in the Grand Grimoire that was like, yes, I'll strike this
point in space with lightning, and then a tower will appear. That is my spell. Haha. I mean, he could conceivably leaf through the entire grimoire until something like that came up. Actually, no, that's a really good point. Why has the Inquisition not looked at the Grand Grimoire, which apparently tells all spells possible, and looked for one that says, like, Conjurify Bell Tower? Man. Well, I think I've run out of things to say. Wait, actually, no, one more thing. Wait. If Maya is going to be the one at threat of being burned, then that absolutely leaves the door wide open for, Grey Earl to be the real witch. Like, everyone was calling them Mr. and Man and all that. But I think it's plainly obvious Grey Earl is a woman. I'm pretty damn sure. So they're probably the real witch. I think that's pretty obvious. Anyway, I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been more Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll catch you next time, so until then, please take care.